Okay, we are on and recording. Let me just start off the recording with a little wave to you guys. Hello, everyone out there. All right. So you see when we doing this and you're seeing me in the recording, you're going to see me smiling and you're going to feel confident when you watch over this recording, knowing that pretty soon you could do this just the way that I could do this. Okay. So there you go. Now to switch over. All right. So last class that we focused on the SBA, and let me go to my C values_C folder, and this is the file that we were using, right? This is the file that we were using, and I think that we last time that we ran it, we had some very specific error with the extra space being added. So we want to see if we can run it over, but I'm going to just go through what the file is and the purpose of the file and what we've done so far. Okay, so what we have is that we have a structure that holds information about members of a club. It's a football club. Their first name, their birth date, their last name being stored in a struct. We created an array of that struct type. The name of that struct data type is member. So once you have a variable of type member, it means that that variable is capable of holding this information inside of here. Right? It is capable of holding that information inside of there. We have some functions. We had a function for the menu. And really and truly, so far, the only functionality that we've added was the ability to add a member to the file, to read the contents of the file, and to write the contents of the file, right, to the struct. And we said that our approach is to load information. Every time that we have to do something, we read the information from the struct from the file up into our struct array. We do what we have to do, and then at the end of it, we write all of the information to the struct. Everybody's fine with that so far. You all remember that? It's jogging your memory. That was like 2 classes ago. So I know that seemed like forever. All right? The students, you sometimes just be like, that happened like 2 classes ago. Who could remember that? Okay? But, dig deep in little memory and try and pull that information out. So we have our menu. Our menu is displayed. Our main function doesn't really have much. It just has an infinite loop. It has an infinite loop. And Elijah, trust me, I could identify with you. Sometimes sometimes it goes so far as not even being able to remember what happened this morning. All right. So we have our infinite loop. And that's based on not even infinite loop, because we call menu in the loop, and only in the instance where menu is equal to -1 with this break, menu returns a value of -1. So our menu function returns a value, and that value would be returned in the event that we decided to select the option to exit, which means that we can break out of this while loop and print goodbye. Right? Once we call menu and we do whatever task is associated with menu, when we finish that, a non -1 value should allow us to just simply clear the screen and display the menu afresh. Okay, so we can run and see. This is what has happened when we call menu. If we press 5, exit, is going to happen, and we say goodbye, and that's our program there. But if we decide to do any other functionality besides 1, which is the only function that we have defined, which is add a member, we just we get a message saying that we have to do it, and then we go back to the menu. right? If we press 8, which is telling us that we made an incorrect menu selection, the same thing happens here, right? Please retry, and we go back to the menu selection. Our add member function takes in data from the user and puts that in the next available position of the list I array, right? And then it moves list I even forward again in maybe preparation for another one. But this is where we were talking about, if I'm adding a member, first thing that I do is read a file, and then last thing that I do is write to a file, right? Write to my file. So the thing is that we are doing overwrites. Every time that we do some task, we're not appending to this file. We wiping over and we put in all of the information from our struct in fresh. Okay? And the reason for that is because, you know, we don't want to have to mess with appending. All right, so let's just run an example. We already have some members inside of the file. So let's add somebody else. All right. So we're gonna add a member. We're gonna add Jamie Martinez. The date of birth for Jamie could be the 16th of the 4th, 2002. Enter the preferred position, right, left back, and enter the secondary position, right back. And seems like that was successfully added. Let's go and check and see. Now, look at what happened to the first 2 people that got written. We're getting spaces inside here. Why is this happening? For every new person that we add, it seems to be giving some sort of space until this person here, right? So let's see what happens now if we try to add one more person. That's an interesting error. Okay, so I find that a pretty interesting error. So let's see, add 1. Now our file is not going to read because we have some issues with some spaces and stuff inside there. So my program actually crashed there. Okay, so again, let me see. I'm going to delete this, and see if I can add one more person just to get a fair idea of why that issue might be happening. 1, enter the member's first name, Tina, 15/18/2002. 15/18. So you notice I have no date validation there, right? So that date is off. Right? So center forward. And so it gets added. Let's see our members file. Now notice that the first 3 persons, we having an extra \n being written there. So that means that there is something that is writing too much information to our file, right? Too much information to our file. So now we have an issue inside of write file function, and you know now I suspect that I've put some bad code here or something. So because this is the only place that this can happen. Now a nice and easy way for me to troubleshoot right into a file, okay, is to well, first of all, I have to fix this so that it works again going forward. But I could print out to the screen. So an fprintf is really just a printf with some extra data added to it. So I can print out to the screen and not print to the file. Okay, so I also have to, I'm also taking off this here, right? Because I need to be able to need to be able to see exactly what I'm doing in order to fix my data, right? So I've taken off my fprintfs. So I'm not even going to overwrite the file or anything so, right? I'm just going to, I've taken off everything that should overwrite the file. So what I'm going to move as though I'm going to try and add a new player, but instead of being added to the file, it should be added to the screen. Okay, it should just display what's going on the screen. So at this point, list I is a global variable that we have that is paired with member list. Okay, we remember that we were saying, and let me just be able to annotate the screen. So let me start the software to do that. Right? We were saying member list is our array, our struct array that would hold our information. I'm just using circles to represent struct data. And this is member list. And then we have list underscore I, which is the index for this list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it'll go on and okay. And so when we read information into the file, when we read information, from the file, right? Sherry should read in the first position, Jane should read in the second, Greer in the third, so on and so on, right? Jamie and Tina in fourth and fifth, right? Position, of course, starting from 0, right? So we have Cherry in here, we have Sherry in here, Jane in here, Greer in here, Jamie in here, Tina in here. So the next possible position, or because of the fact that 5 people were read, this is where the value of list underscore I should be. And that, for that reason, is why inside of the write file function, right? Inside of the write file function, I'm going to clear my screen so that it's not too confusing. Inside of the write file function, we go up to before list underscore I. So we're reading from position 0 to 4. Okay? And then we say in print that person's information to the screen. And if it is that that person's information at position I is equal to 1, sorry, list underscore I minus 1 is equal to x, printf \n. And I'm telling you all, like, I know exactly where the error is, and I don't think the error is here. But let's take a look at it printing to the screen when we add a new person and see if we could track down this error. Right? We'll track down this error. I don't think the error is here. I think I know exactly what I did that's causing this error. Right? And I think it's because I used fgets somewhere. So when I want to add a member, remember my data is read first in the read file function. Right? So right now, as I'm at this point here, it means that inside of my add member function, read file was done successfully. So that this is now currently on the screen. Is this what's currently on the screen? Please enter the member's first name. Yes. So it means all my information was read into the struct successfully. Let me see Lala. All right, the 16th of the 12th, all right, 2003. All right, midfield, defensive midfield. Look at what is happening here. Why is it that everybody up until the last person before the new last person is being given an extra / space? And I know now, I know exactly why this is happening. This is happening because for some reason we have a \n here, and then we have a \n being placed here again. right? And this is an issue that comes from the input, the read file function. So I'm going to show you all what's happening with the read file function. The issue is happening in the read file function because I am using fgets to read data in the file. So you see this line here, this line of text from the file. Fgets works a little differently from gets. If I open this file, what is at the end of this file, this line here? Could anybody tell me what's at the end of this line here? On this first line. Sorry, Alicia?
I don't know, a backslash n?
Exactly, backslash n is there. The way that fgets works, right, is that fgets reads exactly what's on this line. So when I read in this line, because this is some string data here, right? And remember we were tokenizing. Sherry get tokenized, Simmons get tokenized, right? The date get tokenized, and we translated that into integers. This got tokenized, and write back got tokenized, but write back got tokenized with something extra, right? Fgets reads the backslash n as opposed to gets, which doesn't. Okay, so fgets actually, if I were in this read file here, right, and I were to go like this. Now remember, this would read line by line of text from the file and store it in my what you call this thing, in my struct array. But let me do something here. If I say printf, and this is just to visualize to you what's inside of line, and I put a, sorry, not line there, but %sign s with line here, right? And this is debug code to see the contents of line, right? Debug code to see the contents of line, right? And if I watch this, if I put an asterisk in front of what line should be and an asterisk behind what line should be, right? If it is that I'm reading this information and it's taking that backslash n, my asterisk should come out on a new line, but I don't want it to come out on a new line, right? So, and I'm gonna put a getcha underneath it to just pause the just pause the output. Okay, so when I say add a member and I run my read file, see what happened there? You see where the asterisk is? You all see where the asterisk is on the edge? Yes, sir. But where should that asterisk be? Where should that asterisk be?
After RB.
Right after RB. So it means that we have an extra character being read. We have an extra character being read because of the fact that each one of these are on its own line, and we wouldn't see it for the last line, right? So if I continue on, notice that Tina Timmy, because Tina Timmy have stops right here, right? That's where it stops. That's where it stops on this line here. How do we get rid of that backslash n? Let me show you all something. If I have that data inside there, right? And I have, this is all inside of line. Not Tina, sorry. Who's the first person? Sherry Simmons, right? Sherry Simmons. And actually, let me erase all of this. We read in this data. Sherry Simmons, whatever her birthday is. All right. have position 1, and have position 2, right? But what happens is that that backslash n is inside of there. How can we remove that backslash n? Now watch this. The last girl who was what? Tina? What was Tina's name? Tina Timmy, right? Tina Timmy 15 slash 04 slash 2000 slash right back left back. Tina Timmy does not have that information here, but at one point, line holds this information and at another point, line holds this information. So at some point, line is both of them. How can I remove the backslash n here without checking the backslash n there? Where is the location of the backslash n if ever it's going to be? There. It's going to be always located at the what?
End of line.
At the end of the line. So if it is that I want to know, or if I want to get the position of the character at the end of a line, what can I use? What tool or what function do I have that I can use to get the index position of that character? The end of the line will always be what? We had a rule regarding that.
Now? What?
Not null, no. Let's say, for instance, I have this word, hello. How much characters is in that word? How much characters is in the word hello?
6?
6 or 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 characters in this word. Because we don't count if you're thinking of if you're thinking of the backslash 0 there. We don't count the backslash 0 as a character. Okay? So it's 5, so which means that this is going to be at position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the position of the last character is always the size of the array, the size of the string minus 1. Yes? Yes? No? Everybody quiet. Somebody at least cough or grunt or say something.
So yeah.
Yeah? All right. And I
So-
thought I get cut off or something. Sorry, huh?
So you can say it one more time, please.
Right? Yes. I have the last character is always going to be the size of the string minus 1. Just like an array. If I have 10 values in an array, what's the last index position of that array? 9.
9.
Yeah. So in this case, I could do a check to see if this last character is a backslash n. So I could go and I could say if, right, if line at position strlen for line minus 1 is equal to backslash n. What is that going to give me? It tells me if I get the size of the line, the string, however much characters this have. Let's say this have 40 characters in it. Then I want to say if line at position 40 characters minus 1. So if line at position 39 is backslash n. What do I want to do if line at position string len for line is equal to backslash n? I want to get rid of that backslash n. That backslash n causing me problems. You understand? You understand where I'm coming from? You all folks with me?
Yes, sir.
Could you
Yes,
repeat
sir.
that, please? You're breaking up on my end.
So I'll repeat it. Right? I said if it is that we have 40 characters in this, I just assume minute. I ain't taking the time. If we have 40 characters in this line, I know that this \n here, according to the rule that we just talked about, is at position 39. So how I could represent that is I could say if line, which is the string, at position string length of line, which will give me 40, minus 1, which will give me position 39, is equal to \n. Is it equal to \n in this case? Yes. Then what do I want to do with that? Then I know that \n is at position 39, so I could say line at position string length for line minus 1 is equal to \0. What did I do? I said now make that last position the end of the array. Make that last position the end of the array. So now my array would end up ending after this. That's what I did here. And this little two lines of code here change that I had before to this. And it's not going to give me a problem for this because in this instance where Tina to me is concerned, we never had the \n. So this if statement here is not going to return true, so this line is not going to get that. Let's see it in action. Okay, I am going to close this. I'm going to run it over so that right now inside of the file we have \n's coming up here, 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 but not here. And we see it when we run it. We see it when we run it. I remember, you see the \n in action, \n in action, \n in action. All of these lines that are not the last line, we are getting the \n for. The last line, we're not getting the \n. Let's put in that little piece of magic code now and then run the same printf statement. Let's say if line at position strlen for line minus 1 is equal to \n. What do I want to do in this instance? All right, I want to say that line at string length line minus 1, position string length line minus 1 is equal to \0. So if the line read has the new line character at the end, remove the new line character. Okay, so we remove the new line character. You want me to put the braces inside here so that it doesn't confuse you all or anything? So I know that we're used to the braces. Okay, and now let me run this code and see. Sorry, I forget to put my semicolon. Let me run this code and see. So now when I say add a member and I read my file, look where Sherry Simmons, look where the asterisk coming out. Everybody has the data at the front and the back, right? I ran turn on my camera because I was waving my arms around like a mad person saying yes, right? We have it to the front and we have it to the back. Okay, so we have a complete line of code without any extra \n that's going to confuse our head later down in this program. Everybody good with this?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now I could go back and remove this debugging data because I know now that my data inside here, right, and now we still printing to the screen, eh? We're not printing to the file yet, but we could test it now down at the bottom. We could go and we could say add a member and enter the member's first name. The member's first name is, let me take somebody from class, Hannah. All right, and those are, all right, the 16th of the 4th, 2002, all right? Look at that. Look at that. It comes out as it should come out in the file without all of the extra spaces happening. You all remember the extra spaces that we were getting in the beginning, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So, of course, this didn't write to the file because we had all the file right code grayed out, right? But now what we could do is that we could uncomment it and we could comment out what we had printed to the screen. Okay, we had comment out what was printed to the screen because Hannah didn't get written to the file. Okay, so we have add a member, right? And now we can, exit. And if we check our file here, everybody has been written to the file as it should be. And the thing is, the beauty of functions is that now going forward, I know that my read file works and I know that my write file works. So any other function that I have where I want to change something or do something, I know that I could call read file and read file is going to allow me to read file is going to allow me to read the information from this file as it should, and if I call write file, it will allow me to write the information from the file as it should, right? The only issue again I might have with read file and write file is that at the start of read file, and I'm trying to figure out if I did it, I think I'm going to have to restart the list I to be position 0 again, right? Because of course you don't want to read now and then read later and then you write 2 sets of information to the file. And let's test that and see. So let's try and add 2 members, right? So we add in Jasmine. /6/ position did Jasmine get written to the file? Yes. So let's try and add one more person. Now notice that we didn't exit the program and come back in it. So the value of list at position I did not reach. So I just want to make sure that we're not writing or we're not reading too much information twice. So add a member, enter the member's first name, right? So let me see who else I could put inside here. Chanel. Right. Now let's go check the file and see if it is that the file wrote properly. Ooh, what happened there? What happened there? Look at who's up to Jasmine, right? And then look at what happened again here. Is that is that based on what I am saying? Could you understand what happened here? Right? I read information into the member list struct, and then I wrote that information. But then when I did a reread, I never reset the value of list underscore I. So what happens is that I read the information again on top of the information that I had, then added Chanel, and then I wrote that information to the file. And this here could be fixed by one simple line that says list underscore I is equal to 0. Because remember, we will be reading this file multiple times while the program is being done over and over, right? So with this one little change here, I could delete this information because this is everybody, right, up till Chanel. And then we can, right, we could close. And if I run it and now I want to add 2 people, I remember all right, so I just added Kalika, right? And now add a member again. And now if I press 5 to exit and I go to my file, everybody is as it should be. Because what happened is that when we only had up to Chanel in the file, and I said to read the file, it read up to Chanel, I added Kalika, and then I wrote the file. And then what happened is that I reset the counter for my to hold data back to 0. So and then I read the file again. So I read from Sherry right up to Kalika, and then I added Alicia, and then I wrote the file. You all understand what I did here? So this one little line where I write start list underscore I at 0 to ensure that you do not duplicate data read into the struct array. Otherwise, it would have read and continued on from where I was reading before. And that's how come we ended up with the duplicate data. Now, I just want to take 5 minutes for break. Before I go on break, anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? So I've given 5 minutes for break and I'll be back, okay? So I'll stop the recording here and then we'll continue it when I return.